Hey guys, welcome back for another reaction. Today I'll be checking out. I finally broke this 7 Americans habits after 7 years in Germany. This video is recommended to me, so I'm excited to check this out. So let's get into this.
There was one thing I did every single day in Germany for weeks that I think had Germans genuinely confused about me. And probably
Oh.
the worst part, I was doing it on purpose. I just had no idea why it was so weird. I'd be walking my dog in the park, and I was pretty freshly arrived in Germany, so I was actively trying to learn German. And whenever I passed by someone, I'd chirp out a cheerful "Hallo, wie geht es Ihnen?" which translates in English,
Oh.
"Hi, how are you?" And I'd just keep walking, completely oblivious, for weeks. I thought I was being polite, but I think I was just confusing the hell out of these Germans. It wasn't until I was walking with a German friend in the park and a person walked by, as they do, and I did my usual "Hallo, wie geht es Ihnen?" and carried on my merrily way. My friend
Very
grabbed my arm and
American.
looked at me and said, "Liz, you can't do that." Turns out, in Germany, you don't ask someone how they are unless you actually know them. And you're going to stop and talk. Like, really
Interesting.
talk. But the more I learned about German culture, the more I realized I wasn't just making a language mistake, I was bringing a very American habit into a place where it didn't belong. Hi, I'm Liz, and welcome to Untold Abroad.
So yeah, I there's one comment in my video that says, "Don't ask me how are you if you don't have an hour all day or next day," I think, something like that. Because you can only ask them how are you if you actually know them or you have time. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Why would you do that? That's really American. Like, hi, how are you? And then just walk by. That's it's very fakey. Or I mean, it's not that fakey for other people, but is they're just being nice, I guess. Like when I say hi, I'm being nice. So yeah,
I've been living in Europe for 8 years now.
that's
I'm
a long
originally from the
time.
US and I'm currently based in Berlin, Germany. I created this channel to share about my experiences of building a life abroad and to also do some cultural deep dives. I'm new and a small time creator, so if you'd like to support me, you can subscribe below or interact with this video. I would really appreciate it. So, habit number one, the relentless American small talk habit. Back home in the States, how are you is practically a greeting. It's like hello. No one expects a real answer unless you're actually close. But in Germany, if I ask wie geht es Ihnen, I better be prepared for a detailed breakdown of their day, but I've completely broken that now. I don't ask people how they are unless I really want to know. It's not
I'll
being
remember
rude,
this.
it's being respectful of the actual meaning of the question. I definitely think it makes my conversations fewer, but definitely now much more genuine. Habit number two, my American definition of far. In the States, if something was more than a 15 or 20-minute walk, I definitely would react to that with, oh, that's too far, let's just hop in the car. And I think a lot of Americans are like this, but in Germany, I was quickly cured of that. I just wasn't able to drive. So living in Germany kind of forced me to become a walker. It also taught me to assess distances differently. Now, when I'm figuring out if I can walk somewhere, I think my internal monologue is usually like, you can obviously walk that, even if it's like an hour and a half. So I think I definitely broke this habit, so much so that I'm actually now selling my car in Germany because I just don't use it.
Really?
I ride my bike, I walk, I take public transit. Even when I go home back to the US to visit, I catch myself looking at a 30-minute walk. It's nothing. And my family's like, are you crazy? Let's drive. Habit number three, assuming that people...
That just makes me laugh. Like, it's funny to think about it. And it's so true. Before I travel to other countries before, that's what I thought too. Like 30 minutes walk is so far for me. But when I start traveling, I was like, 30-minute walk is nothing. Like I get 20,000 steps a day when I travel, like every day when I go places, walking everywhere, and I enjoy it. So yeah, it's funny It's funny to think about it.
People, especially internationally, know the States like Americans. I think Americans, we have this tendency, don't we? I think we just will casually drop, I'm from Idaho or I'm from Vermont to someone from a completely different continent and just assume that they have like a detailed map in their mind of the US. And while I'm from Florida, and I would say, yes, that is pretty recognized, especially with major cities like Miami or Orlando, I think I've broken the habit of assuming that somebody knows where that is. Another habit I could tag onto this one is I've greatly improved my international geographical awareness. There's a stereotype that's definitely played up on social media about how Americans don't know where anything is.
Where's Europe?
Yeah.
Don't know.
I will be completely honest and real that when I moved to Europe, I felt that way. I don't know if it's like the US education system.
I personally believe that US Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as,
or what it could be.
She's
but
pretty.
Living in Germany, I've had the privilege of being able to visit new countries and meet people from all over the world, which has really helped me to understand where I am on the world map, not just where I'm from. Habit number 4, the American hustle.
Yeah, that's the stereotype. Like Americans is bad in like geography, and that's for some people that's true. But yeah, like I mean to me too, like I don't know about geography before I start like reacting. Like I'm so happy right now because I know a lot of places now because I'm reacting, and like I know stuff which I didn't know before. That's why I love reacting, because they just improve my knowledge about everything, not just revolve around here. So yeah. Yikes, that's so embarrassing.
Hustle culture. The no days off, the grinding to the edge, the work till you drop mentality. That's something I've definitely let go of after working and living in Germany for so long. I think seeing other people's approach to work, especially Germans' approach to work here, where you kind of learn that work stays at work, your personal life is separate and it's fiercely protected. There's less guilt about taking your vacation days. I don't think it's a lack of ambition. I think it's a recognition that you're a human being and not just a productivity machine. Habit number 5, expecting immediate and good customer service. I think the Germans might come for me in the comments on this one, or maybe they'll agree. I have learned to not expect good customer service in Germany, or at least not US type customer service in Germany.
Why?
In the US, there's an unspoken expectation that companies will bend over backwards, be super attentive, and almost beg for your business. But in Germany, it's a bit different. Customer service in Germany doesn't have the same I'll do anything to keep you as a customer mentality. It's often direct, efficient, and maybe sometimes a little unapologetic. One German phrase that I learned pretty early on was "Leider ist das nicht möglich," which translates to "Unfortunately, that is not possible." Germans have no problem with telling you no. And Germans will tell you no without blinking, no apology, no softening, no alternative offer, just no. It definitely took some time getting used to, but now I appreciate the straightforwardness. It's less about making you feel special and more about just like getting the job done. Habit number 6.
Yeah, I think I like it that way because I used to work in a customer service in one of the big company here. It's internet provider company, and I want to say it, but yeah, like we're always like on top. Like sometimes even though it's not possible anymore, we say like, don't worry, I'm gonna forward this to the higher up even though I'm not doing it, like because there's just no way to do it, and because I don't want to have a low score, I say it. I was like, don't worry, I'll do everything I can to do this, blah blah blah, but there's just no answer for it. And then I think it just makes them feel better, but it's not really true. So yeah, I think it's better to get directness, because then and you're not hoping. So yeah, I think I like it this way. Yikes.
The heavy use of air conditioning. So I'm from Florida, so having air conditioning or fans is just commonplace. But in
It's hot
Germany,
there.
most buildings don't have air conditioning, and that's for a few reasons. Germany has a very temperate climate, and air conditioning has very high energy costs. When I came here, I remember that some summers got so hot, not the worst thing in the
I've heard
world, but
this.
having come from the US, when I had to bring like 2 jackets to class when I was at university because the air conditioning was so cold. If you do have an air conditioner in Germany, I think sometimes it's looked at as being excessive, and I think this is probably an American habit. I know a few American friends who live in Germany who have air conditioning, but my body and mentality has definitely adjusted since being in Germany. I no longer really think about it. And finally, habit number 7, the pharmacological mindset.
Yeah, I've heard how hot is it there in Germany, and then like during summer, and then people doesn't have air conditioning, like most people doesn't have it. Yeah, so we'll definitely get used to it.
For minor issues. Back home, if I had a sniffle, a headache, or maybe just felt a bit off, I think my first thought was like, I'm gonna take an ibuprofen or Tylenol or some sort of painkiller. And I really started to see the big difference between the way Germany approaches pain and inconvenience when it comes to your body versus the US. There's a common situation here in Germany that I'm sure a lot of foreigners probably know about, which is that in Germany, if you're sick, you go to the doctor, and instead of the doctor prescribing you a prescription for whatever ailment you have, they say drink some tea, get some more rest. There are a lot more restrictions on what you can prescribe or even what's available over the counter. It's taught me to trust my body's own natural healing process a bit more, and maybe just embrace simpler remedies. So those are my...
Yeah, that's very interesting. Like, I've reacted to this girl from New Zealand before, and then she said she was sick, and then the doctor just told her to take some herbal tea, and I was like so shocked. I was like, is that gonna work? But yeah, I've heard like from my friend too that, I mean, she's in Taiwan, and she is just taking tea when she is not feeling well. So maybe that's actually work. That's very interesting. Like, every time I'm sick, I always go to the doctor. Maybe I should try to take some tea. Might work.
7 distinctly American habits that Germany has slowly but surely helped me break. It's been an interesting journey of shedding the old norms and adopting new ones. And I honestly think it's made me more adaptable, more globally aware, and perhaps slightly less American, which, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Also, I'd love to know, if you've lived abroad, what American habits did you break? Or if you're German, what
That was a really interesting video, and I think when we move abroad, we should just remove all the habits that we have from where we come from, so we can adapt to the new ones. But it's very informative, and I like how she explained it. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.